So who has a 100-word summary of all of the garbage splat you guys got up to last session?
Oh, I took the monkey grip feat.
Our Mercurial Greatsword.
Shoutouts to my 3rd edition homies out there.
I get that reference.
So we came back to Dunvoss, and things happened. Everything, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Right.
And we eventually got the book to the king by way of Rallick's point of contact, and things are really awkward right now. We started the magical game stuff, and Lucius got put onto a lead that some guy was moving stuff around.
Magical contraband?
Yeah. Like he was taking his guild's property without like getting clearance or something like that, if I recall.
And there's rumbling in the bowels of the city now, and we're pretty sure the place is going to explode, so we need to stop. Magical Chernobyl?
So you've come here to stop an explosion. To Usha Hambar, an old, an ancient kind of dilapidated fortress that is not fortress, but a dilapidated like manor house that has not been rebuilt, partly because the area of Dunfoss in which it sits is geologically tumultuous. But this tower has seemed to been at least partially renovated, even though it is quite sunken. Like you can see where over the years much of it has sunken down into the ground. And you guys had gotten this door open and looking into the place. So the ceiling's about 10 feet high, so relatively tight fit inside. And looking around the walls, you can see where relatively new murals and designs and patterns have been painted, primarily depicting humanoids with the heads of farm animals. So like people with chicken heads, goat heads, rat heads, this kind of thing. There's no light currently in the room, but you can see where periodically around the outside of, or input into these little murals are spots where candles sit. So they're covered with wax, some of it's dripping down to the floor. None of them currently lit, but there are several of these around the perimeter of the room. The windows of the place. Oh, there are no windows on this floor. Never mind. Passive perception of the people stepping into the room.
13.
14 for Alex.
You know, let's call this an actual perception check.
Okay.
How dare you make me rely on my terrible dice rolls?
15 for Alex.
Okay.
Are we all
9.
stepping in, or is it just a select few?
Lucius is going in.
My perception roll is a 21.
So, Rallick, as you step into the room, one thing you notice immediately that you would not expect coming into this room, based on what it looks like from the outside, is the cleanliness of this room is immaculate. You don't see any dirt, dust, cobwebs. Nothing's out of place. Even the table in front of you that has some items on it, the items are not arranged haphazardly. They're sitting in a space where every item on it has a particular space in which to sit. The walls are lined in between the murals with floor-to-ceiling bookcases, most of which are empty. Here or there you do see the odd book or so sitting on the shelf, but again, you don't smell dust or cobwebs. There's not a layer of dust across the shelves or even on the few books that are left, which you would expect when walking into an old library like this. The inside, there are no windows here. I just got into that. There's a description for windows, but you haven't seen any yet.
really want to tell us about these windows.
I so do. So against the far wall, so back here, you see where a wooden staircase that is covered in green carpeting is going up to the second floor. And in front of the staircase, so along this inner wall here, this is where most of the murals in the room are painted. That's it. That's the room you see. There's nobody in the room, and you don't hear much of anything.
This
Either.
is a pretty fancy, dilapidated tower.
It is pretty fancy.
Rallick's gonna walk over and kind of just idly examine the books that are on the shelf, whichever side they're on.
You notice, looking at the books on the shelf, you have particular interest in books. These books, the ones that are left on the shelf, maybe a dozen or so across the entirety of the room, kind of at random places on the shelves, the books are damaged. Some missing pages, some obviously water damaged, some have like light burn marks that maybe have survived a fire. They're all very old, but this is not recent damage. This is not, these books have been stored haphazardly. These books have been left behind because their damage makes them less valuable.
So we only see the one staircase, correct?
There's one staircase going up to the second floor, yes, and there's green carpet on that staircase. Again, immaculate carpet. No dust, no stains.
I'm just gonna wait by the stairs for everybody. When everybody's done investigating here. Is this desk here?
Yes. There is a chair and a desk. The chair, again, looks very comfortable. It actually has burgundy cushions on it. And it has some incidental items on the table. And they're arranged in a manner that indicates that whoever uses this desk periodically, well, they keep their desk in a more organized state than mine. I'll put it that way.
Lucius saying that wouldn't immediately disturb anything on the desk, but it just regular, like, scholar-looking supplies, inkwells, that kind of thing.
Exactly. Inkwell, quill, one or two pages of folded parchment.
Anything written on them?
No.
Just
Is there any drawers, Lucius?
No drawers.
Okay. It's just a stairway up, or is there a stairway down as well?
Just a stairway up with green carpet.
Okay.
Well, anybody else have any other ideas, or are we gonna go up?
I'm good to
No.
go up.
Yep.
Rallick just shrugs.
Second floor.
I shouldn't be in the front.
Wait, why shouldn't the ranger be in the front?
Where's
Because and then from the back, I can go shooty pew pew.
Mm.
I'm gonna keep
That's science.
yeah.
You're going to keep what?
I'm gonna keep Scrappy at the very back of the line so that if something comes up behind us.
Okay, that's fine. Heading up into the second room. The first thing that you encounter as you're climbing the stairs are the scent of salted meat and dried fruit fill the area. And once again, as you get up into this room, the walls again are lined with bookshelves, most of which are empty. One or two damaged books do sit on the shelves. In other places on the bookshelves, though, you see where they've been stuffed full of rations. And there are huge windows on this floor. These are the windows you saw barricaded from the outside, boarded up. Now that you can see the inside, they do have glass panes, but they are smoked glass. opaque. You cannot see through them. There is an inward curving wall with a door in the center of the room. And in the actual center of the room here, in between 4 pillars that are bracing the floor above, are 4 pairs of stocky wooden chairs facing inward, and each chair, you notice, is bolted to the floor and fitted with lengths of rope. 4 of the chairs have people sitting in them, all wearing the same kind of cloth of silver robes that, Lucius, you saw when you were scouting the place. And the people are tied into these chairs and slumped forward, all 4 of them unconscious.
Okay.
On the opposite side of the room, you do see more stairs going up, again with green carpet on the floor.
Rallick's kind of look around. Well, somebody's been enjoying themselves in an interesting way.
So there's 4 people or 8 people?
4 people. 8 chairs, 4 people. So 4 chairs are unoccupied.
All right. I'm going to lap one of the dudes awake.
Okay. So there are 3 humans. Well, let me get this right. I'm sorry. A human, a gnome, a half-elf, and then another human. Which one do you want?
I guess one of the humans. The first human.
Okay. Yeah, they're both women, if that makes a difference.
Okay. Well,
So,
then,
slapping the first one awake, and she kind of comes to. And Lucius, as she lifts her head, you recognize this woman as one of the cultists you saw coming in and out with pallets of material from Tyleston Sabs. And you slap her awake, and she seems very, very groggy. And as she lifts her head, you see where she has a cloth mask covering her nose all the way down to her chin, wrapped tightly around the back of her head. It's a mask, not a gag. And she's kind of groggy and wavering back and forth. And you see she doesn't have much range of movement as her torso is tied to the back of this chair she's sitting in, and her arms are tied to the armrests of the chair.
While Gus is doing that, Alex is going to go over to the gnome, mostly because I won't have to reach up too much, and I'd like to do a medicine check to see if I can figure out, like, if they were drugged, or if they were put to sleep by magic, or anything like that.
You're proficient. Yeah, give me that medicine check. You can give it to me at advantage, actually.
Okay. That would be a medicine of 17.
So, being proficient in the alchemy kit that you are, having knowledge of that, this person's clearly been drugged. This is not a naturally or magically induced sleep.
Okay.
And that's kind of, Gus, you're kind of getting the same reaction, because this woman does wake up and, like, but her eyes are having difficulty focusing. It's like she doesn't have all the strength to sit straight up, head back against the backrest. What do you do with her, I guess is the next question.
well, first I'm going to say, can you speak? Ask her if she can speak.
She tells you, and her speech is very groggy and slurred, like a person is halfway to being asleep. She tells you, Stompmeyer asked us not to talk to the people that aren't there. And then she looks up, are you there?
Yep. I'm here, and then I'm going to poke her in the forehead. See?
And you poke her in the forehead, and she kind of, you can't even tell if she knows that you've done it, but her back goes against the back of the chair, and her chin lifts up off of her chest. And she kind of gestures with her head towards one of the bookshelves on the far south end of the room, where next to the stack of provisions, you do see several unused cultist robes, and on the shelf beneath that, several coils of rope. It says to you, quickly, you must get the robe on and secure yourself. And then her head droops back down again, and you lose her.
Okay.
Drugged, from the looks of it.
There's only 4 seats, though. It's gonna look weird if...
Kick the gnome off his chair.
Rallick's gonna pick up one of the cultist robes and look at it somewhat dubiously.
The robes are not... What's interesting about the robes is that they're made out of cloth of silver, which is an extremely expensive cloth. This is not just like a rough spun robe that you'd see, and even in like a Tilesnus apt context. But there are only 2 sizes. There's one big enough for a standard human, and there's one big enough for a standard gnome. And everybody's got to just make do with that. And there are probably 8 or 10 of these.
Does that mean... I wonder if that means they were expecting more people. Gus is going to look at Alex and like reach for the door handle, but not like touch it. Not look. He's like,
yeah.
What do you think the chances are that this is trapped?
Not high, but let's take a look.
Alex, give me that investigation check.
That's an investigation of 20.
The door doesn't seem trapped by any mundane manner. It is clearly not the original door because it's an iron door with iron fittings. It's not a wooden door. Almost akin to like a vault door in your experience. Mm-hmm. And you can't see any traps, but you do notice that there is a sophisticated arcane lock on the door. Mm-hmm.
Sophisticated arcane lock, huh? Well, I guess the only thing to do is, and I'm going to reach down and like turn the handle.
And you can't because there's a sophisticated arcane lock on the door.
Okay. Well, I just wanted to see if it was... Sometimes people forget to lock their front door.
Alex pulls a bit of dust out of his alchemist kit, sprinkles it into the air, and lets it absorb the ambient magic. That's a 3rd level Dispel Magic.
Okay. And you cast your Dispel Magic, and it has no effect on the door. The arcane lock continues to linger.
Guess that's what makes it sophisticated.
Yeah.
All right. So, just real quick, our goal here, just to like, is we think they're down below somewhere, potentially doing something that's going to blow the city up. So we need to go down somehow. Is that correct?
Sounds right.
So we're going up instead. Gotcha.
I don't see any obvious way to go down, so when there's only one direction.
Maybe the top floor has a teleporter to the underground.
There's a teleporter to the
There you
underground
go.
up here. I'm going to file a formal complaint with your guild, Lucius. I swear to God.
This is outside. This isn't sanctioned.
He's going to do one of those like College Humor CEO videos, like the CEO of Tilesnus Apps.
Only as long as we can get Brennan Lee Mulligan to play the CEO.
If there's a teleport on the top floor that just goes to the basement, I'm going to burn the tower down.
Burn down a building. Burn down the building. That's straw. That's stapler.
As well as Mattel.
That's one line.
The top level, as you go up, there's no more stairs leading up after this. There is a door at the end of the stairway, though, which I guess I shouldn't have erased through yet. It looks identical to the one below, just an iron door with iron fittings.
Oh, is it locked?
Not that you can tell. Like, there's no keyhole.
I'm going to try the door and see if we can get through.
And it does indeed open.
Okay.
I don't know why there's a door there. There just is. So you're at the top level of the tower because there's no more stairs going up. This looks to be an observatory, and you see 3 windowed alcoves. The two of which on the sides of the room... I'm sorry, no, all 3 of which have smoked glass panes, and then you know from seeing the building from the outside are boarded up from the outside. There is a central dais in the room, And again, bolted to the dais is a chair which sits in front of, or at the eyepiece of, a large brass telescope. This is a device that, like, maybe you guys have seen a spyglass before. This is a mechanical device well in excess of sophistication you guys are used to seeing in Dunfoss. Like, this would be the kind of thing, like, if you show this to Mad Metal, he would be in awe.
Whoa.
Let's see. Gus, you've sailed, yes? So you would know what a spyglass is, even if the rest of you don't. What's interesting about you is recognizing what this device can do. It's a looking device, but there's nowhere to look. The windows of the room have all been boarded up, and the panes are opaque, smoked glass. You can't see through them.
That's a big spyglass, guys.
There are 3 larger chairs along one wall of the roof. Again, all these are facing the telescope, and again, they've all been bolted to the floor. And just like the chairs downstairs that you saw, there are coils of rope attached to them.
Are they planning to, like, rot? Like, I'm just so confused by the coils of rope. Are they planning to, like... Is the tower going to be moving somewhere? Or are they going to...
Alex will climb up into the chair and peer through the giant spyglass.
Make me a perception check because you're climbing up.
Yep. That would be an 8.
An 8, okay. You climb up onto the spyglass at the edge, and you can see through it, but again, there's just nothing to see. You're just seeing the inside of... You're just seeing the inside of the tower.
Structure.
Could we, like, knock down the boards?
From the outside, you could, because that's where the boards are. Well, no, if you guys tried. From the outside, you couldn't, because there's this, like, that weird veneer on the outside of the tower. You couldn't interact with the boards. If you broke the glass from the inside, you might be able to break the boards.
Does the giant spyglass telescope thing, does it look like it's...
Rallick and Gus, each of you give me a perception check, please.
Okay.
As you're climbing up onto the dais.
9.
15.
Rallick, as you're climbing up onto the dais, you do notice grooves around the inside of the dais. There must be a mechanism in this room by which you can rotate the entire telescope to see out of these, probably out of these 3 windows. Even that seems strange to you, though, because there would be no way to see out. There's no window behind the telescope. So if you rotate it at 180 degrees somehow, you just be looking at the staircase and there's nothing to see. So there must be a way mechanically to rotate this giant spyglass, but all you've seen are just the grooves where it would move along, like the tracks inside of the dais.
He's going to point that out to Alex and say, have you noticed that there's some way to rotate this?
I was coming over here to investigate to see if there's any sort of mechanical means to open the windows from this side.
No, because, I mean, boards have been nailed and hammered into the walls on the outside and affixed to the stone of the tower. So if you wanted to open the windows, you would have to break the glass or remove the pane somehow, and then you could probably break through the boards from inside the tower. But there's not like a shutter to open on either side.
Hey, Gus.
Yep. What do you need?
Break through that. Break through those boards.
I'm sending Scrappy downstairs to get some ropes.
Okay. I mean, there's 3 ropes in this room attached to these 3 chairs.
Oh, okay.
If you want some.
I'm going to kick the window over here at Connor's request.
Okay. Make a strength check. Strength athletics, we can call it. Strength vitamin K.
That is a 27.
27. With a 27, kicking a pane of glass, you would expect me to say something like, the glass shatters under the force of your boot. Instead, it feels like you've kicked a solid iron wall.
Gus lets out a loud curse and it starts hopping around on one foot.
It's clearly glass that's been smoked from the inside. Like, you can see through it and see the boards that you saw from the outside in the places where the smoke is cracked or is not completely opaque. But, yeah, kicking it with all of your strength and force availed you nothing. You did leave a boot print on the glass, for what it's worth.
Gus is like, it's magic glass, Alex. How?
Alex just sort of like goes over and taps it.
Alex, it's not magic glass. The glass itself is not radiating any kind of magic that you're aware of.
It doesn't seem to be magical. Maybe transparent steel or something.
Maybe you're not
so
strong
Alex-
enough, Gus.
27 is
will,
pretty strong.
So Scrappy brought back 1 gnome-sized and 3 human-sized robes from that pile.
Okay.
And Alex is busy slicing up one of the 2 of the human-sized robes and getting a bunch of nails out to hammer them over Scrappy as a crude draping.
Okay.
And there's 1 extra human robe here for someone else who wants it too.
Rallick's gonna go over and look at the chairs real quick and just kind of examine them to see if there's anything unusual.
Make a perception check.
All right. Okay, that is a 20.
A 20?
Mm-hmm.
The chairs look normal. Like, the only thing that stands out to you is that they're bolted to the floor and they have ropes attached to them. That's the only thing weird about these chairs. They don't look particularly comfortable. They're just standard wooden chairs, but they do all have armrests. They all have ropes to tie people in, and they're all bolted to the floor.
And after Alex is finished doing his best to robe Scrappy, he'll slide a robe on over his trench coat.
Okay.
All right. And unless somebody stops him, he's going to sit down in the middle chair.
No, that's what Rallick was thinking of doing anyway. But he's already had the robe on. He put it on after he looked at it.
You climb up into the middle chair and have a seat.
Is it comfortable?
Is it comfortable?
No, it's a terrible wooden chair.
No. They spent all the money on the robes and didn't get good chairs.
That's
terrible.
that's where you always make the mistake.
Rallick's gonna go, if what that guy says, shouldn't you be like tied up or something for this to whatever is supposed to work?
I mean,
think it was the magic stuff to tie you up. I don't know. Like, I'm not too comfortable with the idea of letting magic tie me up. I would like, and nor should any of you be.
Kinky, but not that kinky.
I mean, like, consent is important.
I mean, to be fair, whatever magical thing was supposed to happen when they were tied up was obviously not happening to them downstairs either.
Lucius is like, command word, safe word, what's the difference?
Yeah. Like, not far off.
What's next?
I think what we do is like, if whatever's going to happen to a lot of them is going to happen to us too, then we should all be tied up, right? But then, like, who's the last person? Like, who's the last guy to? Who's the guy paying the bar tab? I should say.
I'm not into being tied up.
Why doesn't someone? I'm sitting here. Why doesn't someone try tying me up and see if anything happens? I didn't see any like sedatives or anything.
Well, Rallick's like, all right, well, if you're going to suggest, then he goes and does it and starts tying you in knots around here.
Okay, you tie Alex to the chair. Alex, you're tied tightly enough that you'd have to try to escape a grapple.
Mm-hmm.
You feel any different? You feel any weird? Any magic stuff happening?
No magic stuff is happening. You just feel tied up to a chair.
No, just tied to a chair.
I'll let him go.
It's a really good bowline knot, Rallick.
He'll just nod at you.
All right, bye, Alex. No, I'm just kidding.
Rallick's gonna sit down in the chair next to him, but he's not gonna obviously try to tie himself up or anything.
Yeah,
Alex.
Lucius is gonna sit
Alex, Rallick,
across him.
and Lucius, each of you give me a perception check.
All right. That is
It's 24.
Okay.
16.
21.
Lucius and Alex, sitting in the chair. You have getting that low to the ground, especially Alex, I guess. Looking at the side of the dais, where it's raised from the outer floor of the room by maybe a little less than a foot. But Alex, you do notice where the boards that build up the dais, it's carpeted on top, but not along the sides. You do notice two spots where it looks like the boards are flush, but not connected.
Lucius pulls a card out of his sleeve, tries to slide the card in between the two boards.
Do you push it all the way in?
Yeah.
Goes all the way in with no resistance, and when you let go of it, there's obviously a cavity behind the boards, and you can't retrieve your card because it's now on the other side.
Think there's a passage behind it?
Could be.
Lucius reaches out, tries to find a place where like maybe the boards would pull away.
So getting down and playing with it for a couple of minutes, applying pressure and sneaking your fingernails in between boards, you find a spot where it feels like it has a little bit of give, and when you push into it, it releases one of the boards and starts sliding out. And you realize it was connected magnetically. And then from there, it's easy enough to get a hold of the board, and it swings open, revealing the cavity inside the dais. And you're looking at a vast quantity of materials, mostly books, but also some other things. This is what you've watched them bring in from Tylestis Apt. This is where it's been stored.
Lucius scoops up the card, assuming it's here as well.
Yeah, it's just laying on the inside of the cavity.
Lucius flashes the card to Alexander, and then starts pulling books out, trying to find out what exactly they were stashing here.
Yeah, that Rallick's gonna get up and start looking at the books too.
I'd
Okay.
have given you a probe, but I'm all tied up to the chair.
You pull out a book called Trobriand's Machinations, Volume 10. And it's just filled with ravings and drawings of contraptions. Give me an investigation check, Lucius.
Yeah. Uh, 18.
Looking through the collection of books, it's not as valuable as you would expect from somebody who's been sneaking books out of Tylestis Apt's library for any amount of time. Where you would expect them to be like taking particularly old or rare tomes or magical tomes especially. Most of them are like plotting dissertations of questionable value. Anybody who thought this collection of books was particularly valuable has no knowledge of the value of books in terms of like monetary value.
Hey, Lucius, flip through them with Scrappy's lantern, make sure there's nothing invisible written in them.
I mean, it would take you hours and hours to flip through all these books. You'd be dragging pallets out and untying and uncovering them because they're all secured in these blocky pallets. There are a few loose tomes, which is one of the ones that Lucius has picked up. Looking in, however, you do detect some faint magic from somewhere amongst these stacks. But to get to, say, where Gus is standing on the other side of the dais, you would literally have to drag pallets out and then climb around where the telescope, the base of the telescope is, to get to whatever's stored in the back of the area. This is a process that would take a very long time. But there's magic radiating from somewhere in there.
So there's a lot of books in
school?
there. Gotcha.
What school? If I can discern that.
Indeterminate.
Okay.
Was there magical stuff brought into here while you're seeing them move the stuff originally?
He was watching from further than 30 feet away. He couldn't have an answer to that question.
It seems like they would want to. That's the kind of stuff that you would put in here to hide something. But you're really trying to. You're really trying to conceal.
Can I try a acrobatics to see if I can slip out of these ropes?
Rallick, how good are you at tying ropes?
I mean, Rallick's like, Rallick could go down in there, but at any point, if you ask, he'll untie you. It's just,
No,
you just
I know
have
that.
to-
I'm just curious if I can slip out.
Yeah, go ahead and give me an acrobatics check.
That's a 4.
A 4? No, not with a 4.
Do you need some help there, Alex?
Yeah, no, good knots.
Gus is going to untie.
Connor, let's get a perception check from you.
Okie dokie. That is an 18.
18. So you're kind of standing behind the giant spyglass. You're watching them on the other side of the room, playing around with these chairs, and you see Lucius kind of reach partway down into the cavity of the dais, and they talk about Trobrian's Machinations Volume 10 for a moment. As you're kind of waiting for them to be done with their investigation, what catches your eye is the chair sitting next to you, the one that's situated in front of the spyglass. First of all, doesn't have any ropes attached to it. And second of all, instead of being a 4-post chair that's standing on the floor like the rest of them, having 4 individual legs, it descends from the seat of the chair all the way to the floor. There's no empty space underneath this chair.
All right, let's hop in.
Hop in the chair.
Yeah.
Okay. You hop in the chair.
I haven't actually peered through this giant spyglass yet, have I?
Alex has, but you haven't.
Sure, let's peer through it.
You peer through it, and there's just nothing to see. You're just looking at the inside of the wall.
And Connor just grabs as much as he can of it and tries to, like, push it and pull it and turn it, if it doesn't move at all.
You mean the spyglass itself?
Yeah.
Okay, let's roll initiative.
Yeah, boy, here we go.
All right, and then I get a D8 to my initiative, right? That's what that does.
Yes, that is what that does.
Okay, well.
That's with the D8.
So I rolled a 7,
Yeah,
and I rolled a 1.
gotcha.
So before
I
the
would've
first
thought
initiative
about
count, I need Lucius and Gus to make strength saving throws. This is going to happen before the first initiative count.
Wait, that's a 6.
Okay.
That's an 8.
Gus,
That
how'd you do?
is a 17.
So Lucius and Gus. Lucius, you were knocked off this chair and are laying prone on that square. Gus, you are knocked off that chair, but you managed to avoid being laid prone. As soon as Connor is done peering through the spyglass and starts playing with it and trying to move it around, 3 8-foot-tall zombie men appear in the chairs magically. And they immediately set about attacking you. So we're at the top of the order with Lucius, who is surprised and prone. Connor, who is surprised.
I'll say I'm surprised, yeah. Was not expecting 8-foot-tall zombies.
If anybody can explain why they were expecting 8-foot-tall zombies, let me know. I guess we'll start with Lucius, who is prone.
I'd really rather you not.
I mean, it's happening, buddy. Sorry. Lucius, I have a 20 to hit.
That'll hit.
And I have a 21 to hit.
That also hits.
$13 points of bludgeoning damage from the first smash attack.
Sure.
11 points of bludgeoning damage from the second smash attack.
This is bloodied.
As this zombie, seeing you laying there, as it apparated into existence, shoving you off of its chair, turning in your direction, clasping its hands together, fingers intertwined, and bringing its double fist down onto your torso twice. Gus, you are not prone.
Nope.
Gus, I have an 11 to hit.
No.
And a 10 to hit.
No.
And Rallick, you are not prone. Rallick, I have a 23 to hit.
Yep.
And a 15 to hit.
Both hit.
Okay. $19 points of bludgeoning damage from the first smash.
I'm gonna uncanny dodge and put that in half.
Okay. So you can cut that down to 9. And 11 points from the second smash.
So 19 altogether. Or
As
20
the
altogether.
other two giant zombies apparate into these chairs, one of which turns its attention towards Gus, tries to bring its fist down onto Gus, and the other one brings its fists forward, punching upward at Rallick. So Rallick, you're standing on this dais, but you're looking at thing at eye level as it's sitting in this chair. That's going to bring us to Gus cannot be surprised. Is that correct?
No, I can be. That's Birdie.
That's Birdie.
You wouldn't let me bring him into this adventure today, remember?
I mean, technically Birdie's a demigod, so who am I to say where you can and can't be? That's going to bring us to Rallick, then. Is Rallick surprised?
Yeah, he can be.
And Alex. Can Alex be surprised?
Yes, but Scrappy can't.
But Scrappy can't.
Scrappy can, on his turn, move to there and dodge.
Okay. It's going to bring us back to Lucius, who is still prone, but no longer surprised.
So sorry, Rallick, and also Scrappy, but I'm this is kind of panic mode right here. I want to cast light Thunderstep.
Okay.
So it's a Xanathar spell. You teleport yourself to an unoccupied space you can see within range. Immediately after you disappear, thunderous boom sound. Each creature within 10 feet of the space you left in the space be Constitution saving.
I had a gnome that used this spell quite a lot during... who was running that campaign? I think Vorpal was running a dungeon campaign.
So I need... Would you count all 3 of those zombies in range of this spell?
Yeah, that seems reasonable.
And that's also probably going to include
Rallick and Scrappy, but not Gus.
Scrappy. Yeah.
Scrappy
DC
got a 9.
17. Okay.
DC is 17.
Yep.
And it was what kind of save?
Constitution saving throw.
Gotcha, thank you. That's a fail, a pass, and a pass. I'll let you choose which of the golems failed.
I'm gonna say the closest one failed.